to our week 3 Hangout. And this week we have as our guest Jennifer Rosato from the College of St. Scholastica in Duluth, Minnesota. Jen and I together are principal investigators on 2 related collaborative mobile computer science principles projects. So let me just tell you a little bit about that before asking Jen to tell you about her aspect of the project. So the mobile CSP project, as we call it, started in 2013. And the goal of it is to train teachers in the US to teach the computer science principles course. This is a new advanced placement course that the College Board has been planning for years and is about to release in the next academic year, 2016-17. So teachers around the US have been getting some training. We expect there to be a lot more demand for training this coming summer. The project started at Trinity, and for the first year we trained teachers in Hartford only. Last year, in 2014, we began collaborating with Jen, and together we've built a MOOC that's hosted on Google Course Builder. And we're now training teachers both in person in workshops, regional workshops, as well as online through the MOOC. It's not an edX MOOC, it's hosted on Google Course Builder. So with that, let me introduce Jen and ask her to tell us about her role and her work in this project. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Ralph. So thanks for having me here today. I appreciate that. My role in the project is really about bringing the mobile CSP curriculum from not just Connecticut and the Hartford area to bringing it nationwide and across the country so that teachers in all 50 states and others around the world that might want to take a look at the curriculum can use it. I partner with Sherry Takkinen-Lucarelli, who is from our School of Education here at St. Scholastica. And both of us have a lot of experience with online education and development of courses, as well as professional development of computer science teachers. And so we've brought that aspect to the materials that Ralph initially developed and been able to scale up in the sense of being able to reach more people through the online professional development. Do you want to pull up the screen for the teacher side of the MOOC there, Ralph?
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoops. We'll give you folks a look at the other at the MOOC we use for the mobile CSP course.
Yeah, and while Ralph's doing it, maybe I'll just explain real quick what people see. So the other MOOC that's hosted on Course Builder has materials that teachers can use directly with their students. And then it also has materials that teachers can, that are designed for teachers to use, like lesson plans and assessments and that sort of thing. So what you're seeing now is we're saying.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Here we are. Yeah.
Yep, is the teacher side. So let's take a quick look at one of the units, say Unit 3 or something. Each of the units then is divided out into lessons, just like the students would see on their own side. But when you look at a page, say, for example, the paint pot tutorial one, the teachers are going to get the materials that they need in order to teach it effectively in the classroom. So it includes the lesson plan, starting with aligning with the standards for the College Board's curriculum, so the learning objectives, essential knowledge statements, and then it includes, standard things as part of a lesson plan, including assessment and evidence, the materials, and then the listing for the activities that the teacher would do in the classroom, including, time estimates and that sort of thing. Depending on what the lesson is, there may be more or less information here, but it should follow the standard kind of lesson plan format that many teachers are familiar with. There's also in each unit, there's some additional resources on pedagogy. So this particular one covers project-based learning for teachers. So if they haven't been introduced to it or haven't thought about how project-based learning applies to their classroom, it gives them some tips and hints and talks through how project-based learning is used as part of mobile CSP. Anything else, Ralph, that you can think we should point out?
I think, you know, maybe we should just show the main part of it, the outline. So what is here, what we're doing in the edX course, folks, is we're doing about maybe a little less than half of the curriculum, maybe closer to a third of the curriculum that's actually put together for the advanced placement course. And we're thinking about having a part 2, which may cover the rest of the curriculum. So you can see there's topics in the list here that are covered in the CS Principles course that we haven't covered in our edX course, such as algorithms. We go a lot deeper into algorithm analysis in the CS Principles course. And there are actual performance tasks that the students have to do to meet the advanced placement criteria for getting a college credit for the course. So, I mean, you can see here roughly what the overall course looks like. And the link is available on our edX site if you want to go there, or we could put it up in the forum if you're interested in exploring this any further.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stop sharing now. And let's see. Stop. There. So I see we have a question in the QA list. Hello, I'm French teacher around Paris. In middle school, I teach technologies. Actually, I follow CSP mobile course. Did you have some resources for middle school? And do you plan to have French resources for middle school?
Great question. Thanks for asking, Carl. So right now, the materials are only in English, but if somebody would like to partner with us and provide translations, I think we would be happy to look into doing that. The materials themselves, some of them are appropriate for use with middle school students, and some of them are more appropriate for use with high school students. So for example, the part that Ralph was just mentioning on algorithm analysis, some of the intro stuff is maybe okay with middle school students, but the more advanced pieces that get into mathematical equations are probably better suited to high school students. And so you would kind of have to pick and choose which you think your students could handle.
But we do have teachers like yourself in the US as well who are picking parts that fit into their particular school. And it isn't just middle school. Some high schools, some of the teachers we trained, in fact, are teaching sections of the course to students that aren't interested in advanced placement, but are just interested in learning about computing. And I probably should have said this at the beginning. The motivation behind the CS Principles course itself is to try to broaden participation in computer science. So as you probably know, and even reflected in our course, something like only 20% of the people studying computer science are females, for example, and even fewer are from underrepresented minority groups. So the National Science Foundation, which is funding our projects, and now large corporations are trying to broaden participation by supporting this new College Board course.
And I think the use of App Inventor is particularly well suited to interesting students that are typically underrepresented, because there are a lot of connections you can make with App Inventor to a student's life. And the more that they can see how that technology is being used and impacts their life, the more likely they are to be interested in it. So there's some really nice connections there that I think are good for those students. Ralph, if you're asking something, you're muted.
Sorry. All right, well, let me ask Jen a question. What's going on in the summer 2016?
So during the summer 2016 PD, if your school is thinking about teaching the AP computer science course, you can go to the mobilecsp.org. Is it .org or .com? Mobilecsp. .org, yep, participate page, and there's an interest form there, and then we'll let you know when the application is up, but you can apply to be a part of the summer PD if your school is teaching the AP course next year. If you're selected for the project, and we're looking for a lot of teachers, we're looking for at least 80 this summer, if not more, then what will happen is you'll be put into a small group of about 10 teachers together. Each small group will have a mentor who has taught mobile CSP before. You'll meet weekly with them via Google Hangout with the other people in your group to kind of talk through the units and what's been happening. Essentially, you'll go through one unit a week starting about mid-June and going through the end of July, beginning of August. You'll go through all of the curriculum that the students are going to use, and like I said, kind of talk through it with your peers in those small groups. When you're done with that, then you hopefully should be ready to teach it during the academic year. But we will also have monthly meetings with your mentor during the academic year, so you can ask questions of them too, and make sure that things are going smoothly in your course. And you earn a stipend. You would be paid. Yes, teachers would be able to earn a stipend for completing the PD and for teaching it in their schools.
Right. So yes, and I think Jen alluded to this, but there are various models that could be used in summer, this coming summer. If you're in a location where there's a group of, say, 10 or more teachers who want to go through the professional development course, we are hoping to be able to organize a local group that could meet in person for part of the 6-week course. It's a 6-week course in the summer. If you're not in a locale that has other teachers who are pursuing the professional development, then you can do the course online and have online mentoring. Mm-hmm. So there's a number of models available, and there should be a number of locales around the U.S. That will be providing professional development this summer.
Absolutely. And I think, for those of you who may be from smaller districts who, going to a professional development experience for this long at a different location would be really difficult because of the travel expenses and the time away from your family and that sort of thing. The online option is a good one. Those of you who are in maybe more of an urban area where there might be more teachers will, we could likely look at having, like Ralph said, a hybrid one where you meet sometime face-to-face and maybe sometimes you meet online or do some of the work online on your own, so that there are multiple ways for you to participate.
Okay, so if you have questions about that, we're happy to answer them. Jen, this week's topic in the course was, impact topic was privacy. Mm-hmm. We were doing, as you know, a location-aware app, creating a walking tour. And the app itself didn't, I don't think, have a huge impact on revealing the user's location. It was more using the user's location to find and get information about landmarks and spots of interest. But location-aware apps do have a huge impact on our privacy, and we've had lots of interesting comments and suggestions. More or less all seem to agree with the idea that, yes, we're making a trade-off of convenience, of some of our privacy for additional convenience that is offered by some of these apps. And it was a pretty interesting discussion, but one thing I want to ask you about is, have you had concerns yourself about privacy in this area, in App Inventor and in our course or in our curriculum?
About the data that we collect in our course, or about just in like my use? Oh,
about the apps we're building.
So far, I think the apps we're building, like you said, are not collecting too much in terms of personally identifying information. In the edX course, Ralph, did you go through the activity where they log into a website and they put in like their zip code and birth date and stuff like that?
No, we haven't done that.
No, yeah, the lady who came up with that, it was actually my professor in graduate school, and it was a really neat project, just in terms of thinking about how little information is needed to be personally identifiable. That one was using your birth date, your gender, and your zip code. And with those 3 pieces of data, you're virtually identifiable. So for me, when I'm like using mobile apps, I'm always thinking about, well, what kind of information is this app collecting from me, and how can I tell what kind of information the app is collecting from me. And I think that's one of the challenges of building apps, is to be transparent and then to be able to give users options for ways to use the app without submitting data, or ways to use the app with, but just to be clear and upfront, with the user when you design it, what it is you're collecting, so that they can make their own decisions about whether or not they want to provide it.
Yeah, one of the points I wanted to make about this that I didn't see come up in the forum is that we seem to have accepted that this is just the way life is and the way things are going to be, that we have to give up certain amount of privacy to get certain conveniences. And the one computing development I remember from years ago, which suggests that life doesn't necessarily have to be this way, was a cryptographic-based technique for collecting tolls at toll booths. So as you know, another place where we give up our privacy, or give up a certain amount of our privacy, is when we drive in our cars and we have those Easy Pass radio receivers that pay our tolls for us as we're going through toll booths. Well, there was technology out about 20 years ago, quite a while ago, where all of that could have been handled securely and anonymously. So when you went through the toll booth, you paid your toll, but no information about you was collected. And I think that's true, that there are algorithms and technologies that could be used to make things, to allow us to keep a little bit more of our data private, but that aren't being used because I think there's tremendous forces in our economy working against that whole idea. The information we are giving up is being used to, market materials to us, and so on. So I just thought I would throw that out there and see if maybe in the next few days whether we get any comment about that idea. Could we, by revising the way we do these things, by revising the technology, could we keep a bit more of our data private and still have the conveniences that we want out of these mobile apps and out of some of the other computer-based conveniences we have?
And I think you bring up a good point, that it really starts when you begin developing something and you have to think about privacy during that whole development process, rather than just trying to add it in later on. It doesn't work or it makes it harder to implement some kind of privacy solution if you do it after you've already got your app developed. If you're thinking about it from the beginning, then it makes it easier. You're still muted.
One thing we did focus on this week was the fact that when you are using your mobile device, Google is asking you permission to collect your location, even when you're not using the Location Aware app. So it periodically collects it. And I think it's pretty interesting, the fact that they are able to now use that data to provide us location information even indoors. Because what they're doing is they're connecting it, associating it with Wi-Fi routers. So that's the next big area where it'll be possible to track our locations for convenience, and also, I suppose, to sell us stuff. Here's a question from the forum. Are there open file formats and corresponding software for storing photos and documents? In many cases, yes. Should we be using them instead of proprietary formats? It depends. So this person is answering the question as well as asking it. For me, the answer is almost always that we should be using open formats instead of proprietary formats. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jen?
I would prefer to use open source software the majority of the time, rather than closed source, whether it's a file format or like App Inventor and Course Builder are open source examples of open source software where you can download and make modifications. I happen to think that those create better software in the end, because you have more people looking at it and contributing to it. So, and that would be my preference.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly today plenty of open format options for us. And where this question becomes really important is actually in this coming week's topic, which is we're gonna build a socially aware app, one that uses email and texting to help organize, say, an outing. And We're going to also talk a lot about how the internet works. And we really wouldn't have an internet in the sense, in the way we have it today, without these open standards and open formats, as we're going to see even better this week. One of the examples I use is imagine if the wall socket that we plug our appliances into were proprietary. Imagine what the appliance industry would be like if that were the case, rather than having a standard three-prong socket that we use in the US, and other countries have their own standards. But if every manufacturer had its own plug, it'd be pretty chaotic.
Wouldn't it be easier if the US followed other standards?
Maybe that would be great, but let's see. Are there any more questions coming in from the Q&A? What's that?
Such a nice.
Jen, do you have any questions?
I feel like I'm at a job interview and I didn't prepare questions.
Okay.
No, what are like your most proud moments of what students have done in the course so far here, Ralph? What kind of really neat things have you seen in the forum?
Great question. Well, I think top of the list is the fact that they are so helpful to each other. So the TAs and I have been able to sort of hang back from answering questions because so many of them get answered by participants in the forum, people who are taking the course. So that's definitely right at the top of the list. The other things, they've been very good about helping us track down typos and glitches, pointing them out in a very nice way. So I'd say overall the positive feelings coming from the people in the course are just awesome.
Well, it starts with the top. When you have a nice person running it, then they follow.
This is getting out of hand now. So, okay, maybe we can knock off early unless we see a question coming from the forum or from the discussion board. But again, just to sort of wrap up, if folks I know there are some teachers in the course, and if you're interested in learning more about the mobile computer science principles project on which the edX course is based, then take a look at the links associated with today's Hangout, and Jen or I will be happy to respond to questions about that offline.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being our guest this week.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we appreciate that, and good luck this summer.
Good luck with the rest of the course for you and your students.
Thank you. Okay. Bye, everyone.